All right, doing a little microphone check. Microphone check. Hopefully you can hear me well enough. Got about a minute before 7 o'clock, and then I'll go ahead and get started. But I am live on YouTube as well as live in Instagram. I want to welcome you, and like I said, a little bit early, so I'll get started at 7, and I won't keep you long. If you're coming on just now, go ahead and get comfortable. I'm not here to really teach to you or to preach to you today. We're really just here to have a conversation. I just want to talk to you as your big sis or your little sis, I guess. Charles Rivers, I see that you're on. Are you able to hear me okay? Awesome. Thank you. All right, so I just want to say good evening. Good evening, and hey, family. This is your sister, Erica Jefferson Rivers, just coming to you with the first live Tuesday sister check in with your sister, Erica. I'm really excited to be here tonight. I'm not even going to keep you long. This is somewhat of a soft start, not really sure who to expect to be online. And so I always start with the expectation that no one will join me, and that's okay too, because you know what? I think I'm pretty good company. So if I have to keep myself company for the next few minutes, that'll be okay as well. I'm glad to see that my love Charles has joined in. I think from somewhere else in the apartment. So hey, babe, thank you. Always such a great supporter to have. As I mentioned, I am live in YouTube as well as Instagram. And although I have the cameras pretty close to one another, you may see me kind of dart my eyes back and forth a little bit. And that's just to make sure I'm paying attention and giving my love and attention to as many people who might choose to join us live, as well as to those of us who may join a little bit later. So let me start off first just by anchoring where I am and who I am. As I mentioned, I'm Erica Jefferson Rivers. And if you're not familiar with the start of the Tuesday Sister check in, then I will invite you to look at some other videos that are available on YouTube and that will be added to YouTube later. But this Tuesday Sister check in really began maybe about 2 or 3 years ago. I was working at a university, and I just was really missing my physiological blood sister. And for those of you who don't know, unfortunately, I lost my sister to breast cancer in 2014. And we were really close. Less than 2 years apart. She was my first best friend, also the first person I got into it with, also the last person I got into it with, but that's a story for another day. But she was my first best friend, the person that I remember growing up with. I mean, we were so close that my mom would dress us alike. We wore the same outfits, different colors usually. And people would always ask if we were twins. Now, being the oldest sister, that would drive me crazy. I did not have a twin sister. I was the oldest, so it would drive me crazy when people would ask me if we were twins. But my sister and I really stayed close throughout all the time that we had, on this earth together. And thankfully I had her for 37 years. I believe she was 37, I believe, when she passed. Don't quote me. It's been 8 years already since she left us, going on. I think it's 8 years this year. So don't quote me on her exact age. I just know that it was way too soon. So anyway, I came up with the Tuesday Sister check-in because I was at this working at this university. I was in a basement office with no windows, not really connected to the campus. And for whatever reason, I was really missing her. I can't remember what time of year it was. It may have been around the anniversary of her death or potentially around her birthday, which is when I think about her most often. And I just decided in that moment, what do I do with that grief? I can either sit here and continue to be sad, or I can use this grief as a time to go and reach out to others. And so I started sending out emails just to people that I worked with across campus, to say, hey, I'm just checking in on you. I'm checking to see how you're doing today. I might send a quote or a funny picture or something to uplift someone else's day and to bring some joy and some laughter to their day. And that's how the Tuesday Sister check-in began. And as far as the online space, I've been doing these messages now for a year. Usually they're in written form, some kind of print form that I've put in Facebook and Instagram as well as on LinkedIn. And as I mentioned, today is the very first time that I'm taking these messages live. Right. And so that's just a little background as to how this came about and really what my why is and what drives really this labor of love. I'm not necessarily looking to get anything out of it. The ability to potentially empower, to uplift, to love on, to cherish, to instill some wisdom and some community. It's really, it means a lot to me. And just the few notes that I've received over the past year from people telling me that they've been excited to receive my messages, they look forward to receiving my messages. It's truly a blessing to me. And so I am nervous. Let's just put that out there. I'm nervous to be on here talking to you, and not so much because I'm worried about messing up. I actually allow myself an ample amount of grace to just screw up, to say the wrong things, for lights to go out, cameras to go off. I would say that I'm nervous because I want to make sure I'm really sensitive about making sure that you receive something from this space. Doesn't make sense for me to get on here and waste energy or time or breath. Um, and it not be worth anything. Okay. Hey, they adore. I think that's Miss Nia or Naya. Hey, thanks for joining me. So I wanted to come today as in the first meeting and just talk about how to live out loud. How to live out loud. What the heck does that even mean? I think we've heard that before, like living out loud. And I guess the first thing I want to debunk is living out loud does not necessarily need to be loud, right? When I think of living out loud, it's really just a way to be able to put away the mask, to put away the representative long enough to allow whatever is inside of you to live on the outside of you comfortably, to live on the outside of you boldly, to live on the outside of you in a way that really honors who you feel that you are in that moment. Okay. And so I just want to talk a little bit about what that might look like for you and really in sharing kind of what that has looked like for me. And I do have a few notes that I'm going to go over, but again, I'm not here to really teach to you. I don't have a bunch of points I need you to write down. I really want you to just show up and feel with me and be present with me in this moment. And hopefully some of what I'll do is will resonate in terms of demonstrating how we can live out loud. And so in order to begin to live out loud on the outside of us to bring what's on the inside out, we do need to first become comfortable and familiar with what's happening on the inside of us. Okay, so often we show up into spaces, even within our own homes, even with the people that are closest to us, as the representative of ourselves, and maybe not the actual person that we are. All right, and so what does that representative do? What does that mask look like? Or what does that makeup do for us? Well, one of the things is in terms of pleasing people. right? The things that we do, the things that we say, the way that we show up. Sometimes the purpose in that is more about pleasing other people than it really is about us learning ourselves or being pleased, right, with who we are and what we're bringing in that moment. There's always that fear of judgment. What will people say? Well, you know what people will say? They're going to say a whole lot because that's what people do. People. And a lot of times, the people are talking the loudest and have the most to say, being the most judgmental, are the least satisfied with who they are. And so, does their judgment or their opinion even count? Maybe it does and maybe it doesn't. But the thing is you get to choose. You get to choose whether or not that opinion matters. And I'm going to say and submit to you that your opinion of yourself is really what's most important. And you get to a place where you're not judging or being so critical, right, of yourself. Is going to allow you to let go of some of that fear of someone else being critical. So just get used to the fact that the more you put yourself out there, the more authentic you try to be, the more people are going to have something to say about it. And it isn't you, it's them. Okay. Um, Being everything to everybody and being nothing to yourself is a way of having your makeup on, your mask on, and being that representative. And then also just trying too hard to live up to unrealistic expectations. Oh, that is tiring. That is tiring and unnecessary. It's tiring and it's unnecessary. Okay. And so one of the things that I wanted to really demonstrate when it comes to that, right? I was getting ready for this live. I started announcing this um, a few weeks ago, and lo and behold, it never fails. If I have to be in front of somebody, whether it is electronically or physically, I swear my face decides that it wants to just act up. And so it was no different in this case. And so it added to some of my angst in getting ready for today. And I did get made up nice and beautifully for the camera, but I'm not going to come on here and tell you to do something that I'm not willing to do myself. And so, in order to start to live out loud, you do need to be prepared to take off the mask, to take off the makeup, to take off the filters, to take off the representative. There was an episode, I don't know if you are familiar with How to Get Away with Murder. So Viola Davis, phenomenal actress, was played the lead role in that show. And there was this episode where she was just really emotional. I can't remember exactly what was happening. Hey, Shania. I don't remember exactly what was happening in the episode, but there was a moment where she just got really raw with herself. And she sat in front of the camera and she just started to take the makeup off. She was sitting there with tears in her eyes, ugly, snot crying, and on camera, this phenomenal woman, even though it was just her role, this phenomenal woman as the actress unmasked herself in ways that you don't often see actresses or Hollywood celebrities do on camera. And so I want you to think about how you might unmask and remove some of what you put forth before the world because that's what you think that they need to see you as, and really become comfortable with what you see in the mirror. Now, this is not an indictment at all against wearing makeup. I love to wear makeup sometimes. I know plenty of people who enjoy wearing makeup. Baby, wear your makeup. Some of y'all are bad with it. Y'all look good out there. Y'all look like whole other people sometimes with the makeup techniques that you have available to you. This is not about taking off your makeup in front of the world per se, but it's really becoming comfortable with you. Take that makeup off, and then you need to get in the mirror and take a look at what you see in that mirror and fall in love with that person. Blemishes and all. See, this the new blemish, just in time for Facebook. I'm sorry, for Instagram and YouTube Live, right? But there was a song that India Irie had. She said, "Every freckle on my face is where it's supposed to be." And so, family, please understand who you are, what you've been through, the experiences that you have, who kind of shape who you are right now, is all where it's supposed to be. It's a matter of you learning to love, right? To understand, to embrace who that person is beyond the mask, okay? Beyond the makeup, right? Hopefully that makes some sense and that gives you a visual to remember. It's not a tip, it's a visual to remember, right? And if you haven't found a place for you to really get that raw and to get that vulnerable, I'm really praying that you find a space to be able to do that. Whether that's your own bathroom mirror, that's with your spouse, that's with your sister or brother. And if you don't have a place, I hope that you'll find perhaps some space here with me on Tuesdays where you'll be able to come and just be who you are, come as you are. I brought tea. I didn't bring enough for everybody. Some days I might be on here with a glass of wine. I don't know. Really depends on how the day goes. Tonight just happened to be a tea night. Right. So hopefully you'll find that. I want you to also be okay with asking yourself some powerful questions. Once you set that representative down, you take that makeup off and you get with yourself in the mirror. Ask yourself some questions and think about how you want to label those questions. So, over the past year, a year and a few months now, I've been unemployed by choice. Okay. And so, not gainfully employed, not meaning that I haven't been doing anything, but just that I walked away from a job without necessarily having a succession plan. And I really didn't realize how over this past year I needed that space to recover, to regroup, and to get to know me again, right? The me in that moment, the me post the pandemic, post going through some things with my job. And I really had to ask myself some powerful questions. One is that I found myself constantly in the bed. Like I was just tired. Like there was this weight of tiredness that was on me that I had a hard time even putting into words. And in my reading or listening, there's a question that came up that was really helpful because it's like, why are you so tired, Erica? Like, why are you so tired? Like, what's wrong with you? And those weren't the right questions. The question that was helpful was, Erica, why does your body need so much rest? Right? Why does your mind need this rest right now? Oh, such a different question, right? And it really begged me to sit and think about what I had been through, what I had endured, the amount of weight that I was carrying with me, not just from the job, but really from the past decade to decade and a half. And those are stories that we'll get into as you follow me along this journey through my sister Erica, but it really had been a lot. And I had a conversation with my cousin Ted, Nikki, and she really also reminded me, like, cuz you've been through a lot. Like, you've been through a lot. You don't even realize how much you need this space just to recover, to regroup. And so start to think about, what kind of questions are you asking yourself? Coach yourself or get connected with a coach or even a counselor or both that can help you start to think through, right? Who you are, uncover who you are and who you want to be and how you want to choose to show up in the world. Okay. So, a couple powerful questions that I wrote down here in terms of things that you might consider, right? Why or how do you continue to survive and thrive despite your situation? Ooh, just think about that. How? Why are you thriving and surviving despite the hellishness that is going on around you? And really start to think about, what is that helps you come to that thriving and that surviving, even when other people might understand, right? If you were to give up. Hey, Carla, thanks for joining. Good to see you here. Why do you persevere even when others will understand if you gave up? What is it about you? What is it about you? I guarantee it's something that was placed in you that allows you to continue to press forward. Even when other people would say, man, I would completely understand if you were to fold and give up in this moment. But there is something inside you. And it's up to you to decide, right, how you want to answer those questions. It's up to you to uncover the additional questions that might be helpful for you to understand who you are, who you want to show up to be, and how you want to show up being that person in the world. And it really all starts with you taking that makeup off, getting in that mirror, and really starting to love what you see. Every blemish, these eyebrows don't connect. They cousins, they're not even sisters no more. I actually don't even know if they related, because one sit high and one sit low. And there is no correcting it. Right? Loving these wrinkles that are a part of aging is a part of it, right? It's accepting it. It's, hey, being willing to say, you know what? I might be looking a little rough today. Let's take all this off and let me just show up as I am, who I am. And whether you can receive my message when I look like this versus when I have my makeup on is not really my problem. It doesn't change my voice. It doesn't change the message that I have to bring. It doesn't change the beauty that I have to bring into the world. And it's the same for you. It doesn't change the beauty that you have to bring into the world. And so, as I'm coming to the end, because I promised that I wouldn't keep you long, I do have a few gifts that I want to offer you until we meet again next week. So, I took this scarf off my head, and maybe I'll talk another time in the future about, if you ever want a lesson in patience. I feel like our hair is one of those things that gives us a lesson in patience, not just for women, or people to ascribe to being women, but for some of my fellas too, and everyone in between. So I have a few gifts that I want to give you. First, I want to offer you some recognition. Hopefully this is showing up the right way. I didn't mirror my screen, but this says recognition. Not sure if that's showing up backwards for you or not. I want you to be able to recognize, right, the role that you play in how you're feeling. Recognize that you do play a role in it. This is not to beat yourself up, okay? This is not for you to go back and be victimized, particularly if you're going through some difficult things where people are taking advantage of you, um, either physically, mentally, financially, spiritually. However, we also play a role in what we continue to allow to be part of our lives, right? And we don't have to continue to allow people to come and try to make us feel like we are less than the beautiful, talented, worthy, phenomenal, excellent, God fearing, God made people that we are, right where we are, even in our brokenness and our mess, we are still worthy. Okay, so there is some recognition, and that can be difficult, but take responsibility for how you play into what's happening and where you remain stuck. Now, I also want to give you some empowerment. I want you to be empowered by your feelings. Hey, Mark, be empowered by your feelings. Own your feelings. Your feelings belong to you. And I'll talk about this at a later time too, and maybe in some training to train yourself to not say someone made me feel, but to own it and say, I felt or I feel when, right? When someone does or says something. And there's a whole method of being able to communicate in that way, but it empowers you to be able to own how you feel about the situation so that someone can't try to snatch that power and snatch that emotion away from you. Our emotions are there to help us to know when someone has violated our territory, violated our value space. And we have a right to that space. We have a right to be our own individual selves, right? You have a right to that. I also want to give you some grace. Just as you show grace to the others around you, please remember to show grace to yourself. Show grace to yourself. This is a journey. I don't know that there is ever an end destination to this thing where you actually say, hey, I have arrived. I feel like I have arrived in some areas, and as soon as I think I got myself together in those areas, something else pops up and is like, oh, you need to work on that, girl. But you need to give yourself some grace. We're human, being humans, becoming. There's all kind of different little sayings around that. But please practice grace and be kind to yourself. And then last but not least, I want to offer you love. That love that is perfect. That love that casts away all fear. That love that is unconditional, it is irrevocable. That love for you. For God, if you believe in God, whatever your God of your understanding is, because I'm not here to proselytize to you, but to have that undying, unwavering love for yourself, right? That you will not allow yourself to continue to be put in a corner. So I said, no one puts baby in a corner. That was the line from Dirty Dancing, right? No one puts baby in a corner. And so don't allow yourself to be cornered. Don't allow your light to be dimmed. Don't allow yourself to be placed in a space where you're not free enough to be able out, to live out loud, to live out loud in the way that honors you and it helps you feel that not even just to feel and to know, okay, that you know what, you the bomb diggity. I am somebody. Shoot. And I'm here. And my voice matters. And who I am matters. Who you are matters. All right, family. So I'm ending on this note. And I'm thanking you again for joining me. What I want you to do after this video is to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so that you'll know the next time I go live. You'll know the next time that I post some videos. There will be more things added to this YouTube channel as we come, as the time goes on. Also, feel free to Join me on my Instagram account. If you're joining me on YouTube, you can join me on Instagram at Erica Jefferson Rivers. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn using those same names, Erica Jefferson Rivers. I really just like to share empowering things and just want to be a safe space so that we can still find some community in this what feels like this disconnected world right now, right? So subscribe, like, comment, hit the bell, and I will see you next time, family. It's Erica Jefferson Rivers, your sister Erica. Thanks for joining me. Bye.